friends, welcome to Mobility Flow. I am Julia from the Coeur d'Alene location, and I'm going to be taking you through a short little mobility session. Not quite yoga, it's going to feel kind of like yoga. We're going to keep it pretty flowy, but we're going to focus more on dynamic mobility movements. All you're going to need is a yoga mat. Really, if you don't have one, you'll be okay. It's just nice for sliding. And I would also recommend going barefoot. I am wearing socks because I am outside and it's pretty chilly today. It's looking like it might storm. So hopefully we don't get rained out by that. But yeah, we'll get started. So let's start in the quadruped position. So all fours. We're actually going to start with a little bit of cat-cow just to warm up the spine. So we'll start with cow. So we're going to reach the head and the hips towards the sky. Taking deep inhales and exhales. On the exhale, we'll go into cat. So completely flex the spine, tuck the chin, reach each and every vertebrae up towards the sky. And on the inhale, come back down, extend the spine. Good. Exhale and round, flex the spine. And cow. One more time. Extend the spine. And flex the spine. Try and go a little further this time. Each and every vertebrae is reaching. Very good. Okay, from there, we're going to push up into downward dog position. In your downward dog position, I want you to start with really bent knees so we can fix everything else first before we try and get a stretch along the back side of the legs. So, push up into your downward dog and start with a really bent knee, okay? Let's see. From there, I want you to take your shoulders and push your chest all the way through so you have one long line from hands to hips, okay? From there, tuck that rib cage so we're not flared out like this, and then you can attempt to straighten the legs a little bit more if you need more of a stretch. Once you're there, keep everything the same, and let's pedal out right and left. Make sure we're breathing. Good. Go ahead and swing the right leg through into a lunge position. We're going to start with a pretty narrow lunge, so not a long lunge quite yet. And we're going to do kind of my favorite hip flexor stretch here. So back toes got to be tucked for you to feel this one really good. And then we got to tuck the pelvis as well. Okay, so I went from here to here. By now you're probably already feeling a little bit something. If you are, good, stay there. If not, you can take your entire pelvis and rock forward, but make sure we're not rocking forward by dumping the pelvis, okay? So find a stretch there, reach the left arm up and over. And back down. Again, check that pelvis is tucked. And reach the left arm up and over again. And back down. One more of these. Reach that left arm up and over. And back down. Go ahead and lengthen out your lunge a little bit here. We're going to come into more of a long lunge now, but I want you to still think about that pelvis position, okay? So not letting it rock back and dump forward. Find a good stretch here. Maybe take a twist towards the front leg. And then rock back into a half split stretch here. For some people, they find they get a better hamstring stretch if they leave a soft bend in the knee. That's kind of how I am. If you feel like you get a better stretch here, that's fine as well. And then rock back forward into that long lunge. Check the pelvis. Good. Rock back into half split. Make sure we're still breathing. And again, one more time, rock forward, long lunge. And back into half split. From from here, we're actually going to swivel away from the front leg. So chest is going to swivel away from the front leg and back leg's going to go the other way. And then we're going to sit back onto the heel. Okay, so my leg is not straight going this way, but it's a little bit in, almost as if I'm in kind of like a child's pose. And then we can bring this leg in as well, so that again, it's not straight up and down from knee to ankle, but it's tucked in a little bit more. And now we're in kind of this weird, kind of modified child's pose position. I don't think there's an actual name for it in yoga, but we're kind of getting a stretch through the ankle here, stretch through both of the adductors here. And we're just gonna hold for a second here. The sun's kind of coming out. There's still a huge rain cloud, so not sure what's gonna happen there. From here, go ahead and take your left hand and grab onto the right ankle right here. Right arm's gonna reach up and over towards the left. This is a good stretch for those deep lower back muscles. So be kind of careful here, and you can play around with the pelvic position, like I was talking about that pelvic tilt, kind of rocking forward and back. You might feel different sensations in both of those positions, so maybe give both of them a try. And hold here for just a second. Good. Bring the hands down in front. Now we are going to swivel that on that knee so that it is going straight out behind us, and right leg's going to straighten out. Toes are going to face forward on the right leg, okay? Hands are going to come down in front of us, and we're going to get another little stretch for the adductor here. Just check the side for this one. So what I want you to actually do for this one is rock that pelvis forward or anteriorly tilt that pelvis opposite of what I was saying before. Okay, so a little arch in the lower back, and then just rock back ever so slightly. Good, come back forward. And again, rock backwards. Come back forwards. And one more time, rock backwards. Good, now we're gonna do a little thread the needle in this position. So this hip position here kind of locks out any of our lower body from here down from rotating, and we're trying to rotate from just the upper spine, okay? So we're going to take the right arm, left hand's going to stay planted. We're going to take the right arm up towards the right, open the chest, look up at the right arm, and then thread the needle through, really trying to rotate from just the T-spine. Good, open up again. T-spine is thoracic spine, which is our middle spine, kind of in the upper back region. Look up towards the sky, and thread that needle again. And one more time, open that chest up, look up at that hand, and thread the needle again, one more time. Good. All right, so now we're going to turn back towards our right leg. That's where we started. We're going to actually push up into a long lunge here and then rotate back towards the side again. So here I'm in a wide leg forward fold. I'm going to take my left toe, turn it out, and sit into that hip a little bit, letting that toe pop off the floor if I would like. Getting a good stretch through here and here. And then rock over to the right side. It's now sunny but raining a little bit, so I'm very confused. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm covered by a deck, so I'm good. All right, come back to center. We're actually going to rotate to the left now. We're just going to catch up the left side on what we just did on the right. So we start in that kind of narrow stance lunge, 90-degree angles. Back toe is tucked, pelvis is tucked. Rock forward if you need to. Bring that right arm up and over. Good, back down. And again, right arm up and over. Back back down, and one more time, right arm up and over. And back down. Now lengthen out that lunge just a bit. Come into a more long lunge position. Check that pelvis is not dumping forward. Okay, we're still getting a good stretch in the hip flexor. And then rock back into half split. Again, you don't need to fully straighten the leg to get a good stretch. It just depends on your anatomy. Some do better here, some do better here. Also can depend on the day or at the soreness level. Rock forward again into long lunge. Maybe take a twist towards that front leg. And back in a half split. Try and keep the hips square in this. So they're going to want to open up towards the back leg just due to the inflexibility or immobility of this front leg. And that's okay. We just want to aim to keep them both facing forward. And one more of these, rock forward. And back again. Okay, coming back into your lunge, you're going to swivel on that back knee to face the front, so swiveling away from the front leg and sitting back on that back heel. This position may not be accessible to some of you, and if it's not, I'd encourage you to try maybe something like this, or maybe the legs extended a little bit. Just try and play around just to get in some kind of position that looks like this. This is not a real yoga posture or anything like that I know of. It's just a position that I like to come to work through. Makes me feel better. So don't push through pain, but just try and get into some kind of position that's stretching through here, stretching the ankle. And then we're going to take right hand to left ankle, reach the left arm up and over towards the right, getting a deep stretch in that lower back. If you're not getting a stretch, you can play around with the pelvic position, tilting anteriorly and posteriorly. Good, bring that arm back down. Now leg's going to straighten out, so knee to ankle is pointing straight back. Left leg's going to straighten out as well, toes are facing forward. From here, we're going to drop the hands down, and remember, in this position, we do want to actually anteriorly tilt the pelvis before we rock back. Rock forward again. So we're trying to feel it all through this tissue up in here. And rock back. One more time, rock forward. And rock back. So if you're not sure about breathing, when to inhale, when to exhale, it's not super important. We just want to make sure that we are continuously breathing throughout postures and positions. But a general rule is that when you close a stretch or an ankle, or there's a compression, that is when we exhale, because we continue that compression of everything out from the body. So if we were doing this stretch like this, you would exhale on the way back because we are compressing. Okay. Now we're going to do some more of that thoracic rotation. Okay, so hips are locked here, right hand stays planted, left arm reaches up towards the sky. Look up at the hand if you can, and then thread that needle, right hand comes through, really trying to rotate from just the upper spine. Again, reach that left arm up towards the sky, chest faces the side. Thread that needle back through again. And open up one more of these. Chest rotates towards the side. Hand reaches up. And thread that needle through. Good. All right, we're gonna rotate back towards our left leg. Our left leg was in front. And then we're going to push back into downward dog one more time. And we should be feeling a little bit different now. Hips should be a little bit warmed up, calves, hamstrings, hip flexors, lats, everything should be moving a little better now. So pedal it out here, but remember we want one long line from hands to hips, no break in the shoulders, and then we want to straighten the legs from there. So continue to pedal it out there for just a moment. And then drop back down into an all fours position again. We're going to do something called a controlled articular rotation, or a CAR is what they call it for short, which is where we try to move one specific joint through its full range of motion. In this case, we're going to do the hip without letting any other joints come along for the ride. Okay, so to do that, we have to stiffen up the whole body. And in this case, we're going to pretend like I have a glass of water right here on my lower back. I'm not going to put that on there because there's a lot of water in there. And I don't know if I trust myself fully. But that is what the sensation we're trying to create. So if we had a glass of water right here, we don't want it to fall, we don't want it to spill. Okay, so go ahead and just watch me do 1 rep, and then we'll do 2 reps together, okay? So, everything's tight, we're braced. I like to have my toes tucked for this. And then I'm going to bring right leg into armpit. Again, you're just watching for right now. Open up like a fire hydrant. Start to rotate. Ankle and knee go high as possible. But again, we're not opening up like this because that's going to spill my glass of water. So hips stay square. Bring it all the way through. Knees come to meet. And then reverse. Extend high. Open up to the side, but don't spill that water. Try and keep knee and ankle high. This is the hardest part for me at least. And then knee comes into armpit. And both knees come to meet. So that would be 1 rep you didn't do. And we're going to do 2 together now on the right, and then we'll do 2 on the left. Okay, so come into a quadruped, all fours position. Everything's tight, braced, toes are tucked, hands are pushing into the floor. Core is braced. And lift the right leg and pull it into the chest, knee into armpit. Open up to the side. Rotate, knee and ankle go high. Extend as high as you can. Come back through and reverse. Extend knee and hip high. Knee and ankle rotate, try to stay high. Knee comes into elbow, armpit, and relax back in the center. That's 1. If you want to shake out your wrist for a second, you can. And let's do 1 more on this side, then we'll switch. Ready, brace everything, and knee comes into chest. Open up to the side. Rotate at the hip. Knee comes high. Swing through. Knees come to meet and reverse. Open up to the side. Knee comes in the armpit. And relax back down. Okay, good. Shake out those wrists again if you would like. And we're going to switch to the other side. We're going to do 2 on the left side. Okay. So everything's tight, everything's braced. Take that left knee off the ground, bring it into the elbow, armpit. Open up high. Whew, I am sore. Knee rotates, ankle stays high. Extend that knee and hip, and then swing through. Knees come to meet, and reverse. Open up to the side. Don't spill that glass of water. Try and keep knee and ankle high. And relax. Shake out the wrists. And 1 more, left leg. Knee comes into armpit. Open up to the side. Rotate, that ankle goes out. Knee goes high. Extend that knee and hip. Swing through, knees come to meet. Reverse. Extend. Open up to the side. Keep knee and ankle high. And relax back down. Whew. That was hard for me. All right, push back into downward dog. Check that checklist. 1 long line from hands to hips. Rib cage is tucked, and then extend the legs from there if you can. Pedal it out a little bit. Then we're going to slowly walk our feet up to our hands. So 1 foot at a time, taking small steps Really intentional here. If things start to get a little tight, you can bend the legs, or you can just stop and then relax here and forward fold. And then we're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time. So first thing to go is the lower back, then the middle back, upper back, shoulders, and head come up last. Good. Fix my mat a little bit. So we're going to do a couple more things. It's kind of like just a warm up, moving things around, and then we'll do a little bit of specific work for the hips in 90-90, which everyone loves. So we're going to take our squat stance here. So mine's kind of just roughly outside of hip width. Toes are just turned out a little. We're going to bring the hands to the heart in a prayer position. We're going to sit down into a deep squat. Okay? As deep as you can get right now. And just take a few breaths here. Then you're going to extend the legs and let the chest fall forward into a forward fold. I like to take my toes and face them back forward for this, but that's up to you. You can leave them wide if you would like. Grab onto those elbows to hang. Good, and then keeping a neutral spine, we're just going to stand up to start. Hands come back to the heart. Widen that stance a little bit back into your squat stance and sit back down into a deep squat. Use the elbows to drive those knees out. Come rock side to side a little bit if you need. And then extend the legs into a wide-legged forward fold. Soft bend in the knee for me is better. If you like a locked out leg, that's fine. Grab the elbows and hang here. And then neutral spine, stand all the way up. One more of these. Hopefully your deep squat gets a little better this time. I'll show you from the side. Hands come to heart. Sit all the way down into that deep squat. So if you get to here and you have to round your back to sit all the way down, I don't want that. I want you to stay here, okay? But if you can sit all the way down without rounding that back, that's good for me as well. Good, extend the knees and round forward into that hanging hold, forward hanging hold. And then neutral spine, stand all the way up. Hands come to heart, and we're done with that. So go ahead and come into a 90-90 position with the right leg forward. So in 90-90, called 90-90 for a reason. We want 90-degree angles everywhere to start, and then I may offer modification for those of you that get a little pain or something that we don't want to push through. So we're going to focus on the front leg for now. Let's make sure that we have straight line from belly button out to knee and straight line from knee out to ankle. We're just going to try to get a stretch in this front hip. This hip is in external rotation, so we're doing an external rotation stretch right now. So I want you to think about that anterior tilt opposite of the hip flexor stretch where we're tilting backwards. We're now going to tilt forward. And we want to think about reaching that belly button up and over the knee. We're not rolling forward because as you can see, I lost that pelvic position where I'm kind of tilted forward. And we're going to hold here for just a little bit. Really think about reaching belly button up and over. And while you guys are holding, I'm going to check that my camera didn't stop. Good. Still go. Good. Go ahead and turn to face towards the back leg. So on that back leg, again, we want straight line from hip to knee and straight line from knee to ankle. Okay, 90-degree angle at the knee and at the hip right here. And we're going to try to get a stretch on this back hip now. The back hip is an internal rotation. Okay, so I'm going to further internally rotate my hip by sitting this glute down towards the floor. Okay, so if you turn and you're just like this, you're not going to be getting much of a stretch through here because you're still extending this hip forward. So really try and drop that hip back. Should be kind of feeling it through here. Some people feel it more in the back. That's okay. And we're just going to hold here as well. Good, and continue holding the stretch while I go over what we're going to do next. So we're going to do something called a lift off for this back leg. And some of you who've come to some of my classes before might have done this, but we're going to furtherly lift this back leg into more internal rotation. Okay, so internal rotation, keep holding your stretch, is my femur going this way. Okay, it's internally rotating. It's kind of hard to imagine, but what you're going to do is you're going to move away, move out of that stretch a little bit, because if we're at our end range of motion, our end passive range of motion, we won't be able to lift, okay? So we have to move a little bit away, brace those hands into the floor, and then we just want to lift ankle off the floor, okay? And it's ever so slightly, okay? It's just like a 1/4 inch for me. If you want to make it easier, the more you move away from that back leg, so if we move forward and out, the easier it's going to be for you, okay? So, knees pushing down, ankles lifting up. So find yourself a little bit out of that stretch, and I want you to just try a lift off really quick. And how it's going to go is we're going to do 12 together. I'm going to say lift off. You're going to lift, and you're going to parachute down on your own. And we will do 12 of those. All right, you ready? So brace, everything's tight, and lift off. 1, lift off. 2, lift off. 3, lift off. 4, lift off. 5, lift off. 6, lift off. 7, lift off. 8, should be feeling it right through here, lift off. 9, lift off. 10, 2 more, lift off. 11, and lift off. 12. Okay, so should be kind of burning through here. As you could hear, I was kind of hard breathing. It's hard to talk through that. It is like maximal contraction. We're working as hard as we can in that position, so it should be really hard for you. The next thing we're going to be doing is pretty similar, but it's more of a hover rather than a lift. So what we're going to do, you're going to have to lean quite a bit further away from that leg for this one. It's a bit harder, and even coming down onto this forearm, this elbow, if you need to, if you find you aren't able to do this, okay? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to lift knee and ankle this time, okay? So knee and ankle lift. We bring that knee up into the armpit, and then we attempt to butterfly the leg a little bit. So by butterfly, I mean this way. And then not quite touching the ground, just coming a 1/4 inch off, and then back into the armpit, reversing, really trying to keep that ankle and knee high, and then resting back down. So that would be 1 rep. We're going to do 3 together, okay? We ready? All right, everything's tight, everything's braced, and knee and ankle lifts. Bring that knee up into the armpit, butterfly, but try not to touch the ground, and then back up into the armpit. Rotate knee and ankle high, and relax back down. That's 1. And brace, push those hands down into the floor, keep some air in that belly, and lift knee and ankle. Knee comes in to the armpit, butterfly a little bit if you can. Back up into the armpit, rotate knee and ankle, and back down. 1 more time, ready. Brace, and knee and ankle lifts. Knee comes into armpit, butterfly a little bit if you can. Knee comes back up into armpit, and really keep that ankle high and relax back down. Whew. All right, this hip should be feeling pretty fried now, so we're gonna go ahead and switch sides. So on the transition, I want you to watch for now. Please don't do it yet. It's getting a little windy. You're gonna come up on the back toe. Front leg is gonna stay planted on the ground as much as possible. This takes active control, okay? When you get to the point, remember you're just watching right now, where you can't go any further this way without this leg popping off, go ahead and let it pop off. But I'm still driving those legs in opposite directions, using those glutes, driving them away, until I land in 90-90 on my other leg. Okay, so go ahead and try that. So lift up on the toe, front leg's pushing down. Open, open, open as far as you can. When you can't go any further, let that leg pop off. Drive those knees away from each other and come all the way back over into 90-90. So we're just going to start with that front leg stretch. Remember, we're bringing that belly button up and over the front leg, getting a nice stretch and internal rotation. I'm sorry, external rotation. I think I said internal. This hip is an external rotation. And as we tilt our pelvis back, we actually drive it more into external rotation, and that explains why we get a little stretch back there. Make sure we're taking deep breaths into the diaphragm. Good. And remember to check your angles. We want a straight line out from belly button to knee, straight line from knee to ankle. Same thing on the back side, straight line from here to here. And I did forget to offer this. As we go into this internal rotation stretch, if you get a little pull in your knee, you can adjust the angle a little bit. I find with a lot of people that really doesn't change it. So this position may just be too much internal rotation for you, and that you may need to hop forward a little bit. And although you may not be feeling much of a stretch here, this is still the end of your internal rotation because it's putting strain on the knee if you go any further, okay? So let's say I go here, I change my angles, still have pain in my knee. I just want you to back off the stretch a little bit, okay? But for some people, changing the angle there may help with the knee pain. So remember, we're sitting this hip back towards the floor. Hands can go behind us if we'd like. This would be probably the hardest variation here, is keeping that hip sat back and then reaching towards the back foot. Good. Come out of your internal rotation stretch a little bit for liftoffs. Remember, we're just lifting ankle high, knees pushing down. One side of these, remember it looks like this. Go ahead and try one real quick when you're at home. It's probably going to be a little different than your other side. All right, we ready? So we brace everything. Push those hands down to the floor. Deep breath into the belly. Hold a little bit of air there and lift off. 1, lift off. 2, lift off. 3, lift off. 4, make sure we're controlling the lower. Lift off. 5, lift off. 6, lift off. 7, lift off. 8, lift off. 9, lift off. 10, 2 more. Lift off. 11, and lift off. 12. Awesome. All right, so we are now going into our little hover. I'll just show you really quick what it looks like. Remember, we go knee and ankle off the floor. Bring that knee up into the armpit. Butterfly if we can. Try not to touch the ground. Back up into the armpit and back down. That's 1 rep. We're going to do 3 together. With these, we want to create tension by pretending like the air around us is denser than it is. Okay, so like we're pushing through butter or something like that. Okay, so you have to actively push through the air on your own. All right, we ready? Ground those hands into the floor. Deep breath into the belly. And lift knee and ankle. Knee comes into armpit. Butterfly. Knee back into armpit. Rotate that ankle high. Lift, lift, lift. Rest back down. That's one. And lift knee and ankle. Knee into armpit. Butterfly if you can. Knee back into armpit. Rotate ankle high, ankle high. And rest back down. That's two. One more. Ground those hands in. Deep breath in the belly. And lift. Knee and ankle. Knee comes into armpit. Butterfly if you can. Knee back into armpit. Rotate that ankle high if you can. And rest. Whew. Feels good. All right. We're going to do one more transition, but we're going to actually stop in the middle. So again, we swivel up on that back leg, and we try to keep the front leg down for as long as we can before we let it come up. Okay, and then we're actually going to stop in the middle in bear sit, so you can go ahead and do this with me. Drive that front leg down, swivel up on the toe, and swivel open. When you get to your sticking point, you can go ahead and let that front leg pop off, but you're still actively driving those legs away from each other, and stop in bear sit here. This is bear sit. I know it's probably not a good angle for me, so we'll turn this way. So legs are at about 90 degrees here. We're gonna hold onto the ankles. We wanna keep a pretty neutral spine here so we're not really rounded like this. But we also don't need to be poised as much as we can there either. We're just gonna hold here for a moment. And then what you're going to do from bear sit, so we're going to place left hand on the inside, right hand on the outside, left leg's going to stay where it is. We're going to lift right leg off the floor, extend it out, try and keep it high, and then rest it down into a straddle position. Same thing on this side, lift knee and ankle, extend out high, and relax down. Good. Now we're in a straddle, so what you may find is you're not really in very deep of a straddle, and that's because I made you earn your straddle. So I made you use your active ranges of motion to get there, whereas if I just said get into a straddle, we could all go quite a bit further, okay? And that's that big gap between active and passive that I'm always talking about. That's what mobility training does, aiming to close that gap between active and passive ranges of motion. So in that straddle position, go ahead and reach left arm up and over, right arm can travel down the leg. We're almost done here. Just do a couple more stretches here and then we'll go into final breathing relaxation. Good, left arm can slide down the leg, right arm's gonna reach up and over. Good. And then both arms are going to travel down the legs for our final middle stretch here. Very good. Okay, so we are going to end with a little bit of breathing. For the breathing, I want you to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And by belly, I mean lower belly, so not up in here, because this is actually where we're trying to breathe into, okay? So it's diaphragmatic breathing, so we're trying to breathe into the space between our chest and our lower abdomen, okay? And you can lay however you'd like for this, however is comfortable. I like to lay on my back with the knees propped up, but whatever you find to be comfortable is fine. We're just gonna stay here for a couple minutes or so. So go ahead and find a comfortable position on your back. You can go legs straight, you can go legs in butterfly or in internal rotation. I like just a classic knees propped up here. One hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, and we're breathing deeply into this space here. So we're aiming for a 10-second breath total. So 4 seconds on the inhale, 6 seconds on the exhale. This is a practice we should really be making time for every day, not only just mobility, but breathing as well. Breathing is so important for all kinds of functions, but I'd say for me specifically, emotional support, relieving stress, relieving anxiety. Breathing is the best way to do that. Go ahead and take one more inhale. Deepest inhale of the day, everything you got, and exhale it all out. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I find it so inspiring that you all want to continue to progress in your mobility and your fitness and health through this quarantine that we're in. And so bravo to you. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep each other accountable. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments how you liked it, and we'll see you soon.